It's 7 o'clock and we'll get started. The board and I would like to thank everyone for coming out tonight. We do have Brother Derek Bodford. He's going to lead us in a word of prayer to start the meeting off.
Let's pray. Father God, we thank you so much for this evening. We thank you for these men that devote so much of their time to serve our town. And I pray your blessings on each of them and each of their families. Father, may your will be done in this meeting. May you be glorified and honored in everything that we do. In Jesus' name, amen.
Sybil, would you lead us in the latest first?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
No, you can go between us anytime.
So everyone's got the packets, and please note the minutes that all members are present. We do have 4. The minutes are in your packet. They will need board approval. Motion by Paul Simpson, second by Edward Smith. And you call the roll.
John Pendleton.
Yes.
Johnny Norris.
Yes.
Paul Simpson.
Yes.
Edward Smith.
Yes.
Chris Toll.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Next is the finances. Everyone has their financials in their packet. They also need board approval.
Sorry.
Motion by Paul Simpson, second by John Pendleton. And call the roll.
John Pendleton.
Yes.
Johnny Norris.
Yes.
Paul Simpson.
Yes.
Edward Smith.
Yes.
Chris Toll.
Yes.
Motion carries.
We're going to jump down to the department heads and their reports. First up, Chief Milburn.
Mayor, Board, month of January, Summer Police Department answered calls for 66 incidents. We worked 11 accidents that month with no serious injuries. We issued 198 citations. And of those citations, 6 were DUI arrests. 1 of DUI arrest was second offense, 1 was the fourth offense. On our traffic stops, we are getting some drunk drivers off the road.
Thank you, Chief. Any questions for Chief Burke? Anthony Carr, fire.
Last month we had a pretty active month. We responded to 20 medical calls. We had 3 structure fires, 9 grass fires, 1 automobile fire, 3 automobile accidents, 8 false calls, 2 agency assist, 1 public assist, and 1 other. We issued 3 permits and inspections last night. We had 3 training meetings for a total of 97 hours. And our volunteer payroll was $1,513.
Oh, we got agency assist. Is that assist in some other department?
Another department, yeah. We had to go and help Rose Creek out.
Thank you, Chief. Next is civil dance for Parks and Rec.
You have my report. We were pretty busy with sports going on last month, still going on basketball. We're starting our special needs. Basketball started last night. I have been attending several workshops for grants that we'll be discussing later tonight. I can give you a little update on the welcome signs. The bids are all in. They have been faxed out to several different companies in our area, and the bids will be coming in on March the 10th. They will be opened up here at City Hall at 1 o'clock on March the 10th. So we are moving forward again. But every time you even change one little word on the signs or anything, we have to go back and get TDOT's blessing. So hopefully we've got all their blessings this time and we can move forward and get a good bid in.
Anybody have anything? Thanks, Susan. Next is, Department Head Jim Ripplover with the building inspector.
Good evening, Mayor, Board of Alderman. Month of January, the building department had issued one sign permit for Walmart, where they're gonna change out their signs. In the planning commission business, they approved Rod Barnes as chairman, Glenn Mudders as vice chair, and Bruce Manley as secretary for the coming year. They also approved a modification to the site plan for United Stainless up on Three Star Drive. It's going to be a reduction in size from the proposed addition that was initially approved, down from 28,000 square feet to roughly 19,000 and fewer parking spaces. They also approved the removal of the requirement that would make someone that was wanting to use the upstairs space above the downtown businesses for residential to have an architect or engineer draw up a site plan that would have to be approved to the planning commission. Now, it will just have to go to the board of zoning appeals, and they still have to abide by any fire or building codes. So that just eliminated that. Let's see, they also approved the change to the requirements for street banners. It's still going to be used by nonprofit and civic organizations, but it changed the time that it can be up from 30 days to 45 days, and also changed the time for it to be taken down from 24 hours to 5 days. The upcoming business for the February meeting will be there's 3 lots of Central Hill subdivision that's going to be combined into one large lot, and removing the 1,000-foot requirement for keeping farm animals, but keeping the provisions that they have to keep them put up and keep the any type of chicken coop or fenced-in area clean. And there will be a meeting of the BZA. They're going to look at a setback reduction for the lot that y'all donated to the Habitat for Humanity up here on Far Avenue, so that they can begin construction on one of those houses.
Thank you, Jim. Any questions?
What it will do is, now, if you want to keep any type of livestock or poultry, it requires that you be at least 1,000 feet from the nearest house, roadway, or business, and that you have to keep them put up, and the premises have to be kept clean. Over the last few years, there have been numerous requests, for that, and of course that excludes the majority of places within Selma. So the planning commission is going to look at removing that 1,000-foot rule, which it would still have to have board approval, if they decide to do that. And that's entirely it.
Yeah, that's coming up in February, Paul, and what it is the ordinance kind of contradicts itself when you it's 3 different readings there on it. It's a little bit
I didn't know you could have horses and cows and everything to do that.
You can, if you can meet that 1,000-foot rule, as it's written now.
That's a change, but I remember 1969, I was city attorney, and we got rid of the horse.
The only thing you can have right now is swine. That's the only thing that's specifically prohibited in the city. So there will be no hog farm.
Thank you, Jim. Next is, Richard Ash with Public Works.
Well, we had some good months, as well as winter weather like we had in the rough on our phone. This month, the month, January, we billed 7,441 water customers, 1,746 gas customers for a total of 9,187. We ran 84 locates in, but the month we responded to 17 gas leaks, service calls, whatever, Peter not working right. In our customer service department, we ran 367 work orders. Cut off 23 individuals for non-payment. Lay off 490 late notices. We already pumped just a little under 79 million gallon of water last month. Picking up 19 million from the month before. And we treated about 35 million gallon of wastewater, which was up for about a couple of million from last month. So that right there indicates that a lot of people left a lot of water properties drift. And I'll answer anything that I can.
How about water loss?
Your water loss, we normally gotta figure that once a quarter. Now, but the last year, we were at 8.8%. Now, that is a big, drawn-out formula that we get an individual from, Murfreesboro to help us figure it out, because it's not as easy as just adding up the water that you pump versus the water that you sold, the way that they figure that. But we were real lucky last year, 8.8%, which is real good. Anything else?
Thank you, Richard.
Thanks much.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
if I could say something. Mr. Ash, this is just related to his department. Mr. Ash and his department up there helped us out on a problem. We worked for about an hour and a half trying to light an appliance for a woman for heat during the weekend. It was cold weather, and it just would not light, and we knew we didn't have a problem with the heater. On a Saturday, I called Mr. Ash. His team and him put together what the problem was, diagnosed it, changed the meter out, and I'd like to commend him and all of the boys that worked on that up there, because the woman certainly did appreciate getting out of the cold.
Thanks, Rick. Appreciate that. Before we move into old business, does anyone have any petitions or person wish to address the board? If not, we'll move right into old business. One item, it's the second reading of amendment to ordinance 531, which is the name change from Community South to CB&S. Also name removal of South Bank and adding the Bank of McNairy County to the list. It's just kind of a housekeeping item. I'd like to entertain a motion. Motion by John Pendleton, second by Chris Cole. Any questions? Any discussion? Pam, call the roll.
John Pendleton.
Yes.
Johnny Norris.
Yes.
Paul Simpson.
Yes.
Edward Smith.
Yes.
Chris Cole.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Moving into new business. First up is an ordinance amending the text of Selmer Municipal Zoning Ordinance, Chapter 10, provisions governing signs regarding street banners. And Jim kind of touched on this during his report. What it is on the canal bridge, there's two poles on each side of that bridge. The city owns both poles. And Pickwick Electric has been seeing about this. forever, I guess. And there's not really been anything set in stone on it, so, we're gonna start seeing about the banners being put up, and Jim's he worked real hard on getting us a way to keep up with that, and it's a little more organized, and we're gonna try to get that, notice put out to everyone, and it will be first come, first served for the year. But we still will put the banners up for us, we're just gonna see about the organization of it. So I need to enter a motion.
Second.
Motion by Edward Smith, second by John Johnson. Any questions? Pam, would you call the roll?
John Pendleton.
Yes.
Johnny Norris.
Yes.
Paul Simpson.
Yes.
Edward Smith. Chris Taylor.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Next is an ordinance amending the Texas Selma Municipal Zoning Ordinance to amend the requirements of residential uses in B2, which is central business districts, as special exceptions. And Jim also touched on that. We'll need a motion to approve that.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Edward Smith, second by Johnny Norris.
Let's clarify this, exactly what that is, if you don't mind.
Sure. Jim, you want
Some people might not understand what we're doing.
Before, if you wanted to, which I think a couple of years ago, they changed the zoning where you could have residential uses in like the top floors of these downtown buildings, but it required that if you wanted to do that, you would have to hire either an architect or engineer to design it and draw up the site plan, and they had to come before the planning commission and get the site plan approved before they could ever move forward with it. Well, what this will do is remove that requirement, and they'll only have to get the approval of the Board of Zoning Appeals, because it's a special exception, and they still gotta abide by any building and fire codes. It just takes an extra step that was really serving no purpose. It was just putting more of a financial burden on the property owner. In other words, it's gonna do away with that aspect of it.
Most towns are already doing this. I guess there are a lot of people aware of it. I know in Corinth they've been doing it for years, where they fix nice apartments up over a business, so forth. So that's all basically we're doing, you know.
Yes,
You know
sir.
what this means is if you own a building downtown and you want to put some up there or something, or anywhere downtown, a resident to live in, where you can live, you don't have to go to the zoning.
You don't have to go to the planning commission. Before, you had to go to the planning commission and the Board of Zoning Appeals. They took out the requirement for the planning commission, but they left in the one to go before the Board of Zoning Appeals.
I
So
thought it was in zoned so you could do that.
it has been, but when they did that, they put these stipulations in there. But they did at least take the one out, so it's one less hurdle for people to have to go through in order to do that.
But no, not, you don't do all the red tape.
Right, it eliminated some of the red tape, yes, sir.
We do have a motion and we do have a second, so any further questions? And John, you were in on that meeting with the planning committee, all five, or everybody voted unanimously?
Yes, they did.
And would you call the roll?
John Pendleton.
Yes.
Johnny Norris.
Yes.
Paul Simpson.
Yes.
Edward Smith.
Yes.
Chris Taylor.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Next is a resolution to make application for a CDBG grant, which is to rehab 2 sewer lift stations. Richard brought that to us yesterday. Is there any questions on that? We'll need a motion in a second. Motion by Paul Simpson, second by Edward Smith. Any further questions? And would you call the roll?
John Pendleton.
Yes.
Johnny Norris.
Yes.
Paul Simpson.
Yes.
Edward Smith.
Yes.
Chris Taylor.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Next is Kids Festival, which is coming up in March. they're wanting a donation to help with the event, and Russell could not make it here tonight, but, Sybil, I think, has graciously accepted to step in and
If you have any questions, I'll try to answer them. He was supposed to bring me by some, flyers, and he didn't, did he get you some? This will be the second one, I believe. They held one last year at the park, and, this is, I think he said, anything, if y'all could, wanted to give something, it would be great. This is what they did out at the park last year, where they had all the characters and different, jumpies and bouncies and things for the kids, and it's free admission to the park, and then, they, have to pay to get on the jumpers and things like that, but it's just a good thing for our community, and, it is held by the MRA, and, it's held in the city park. Any questions? Anybody?
what's the date again on that?
It's March the 10th. I'm sorry, March the 8th.
Hey, it's on
March the
Saturday,
8th.
right?
It's on Saturday, yes, March the 8th. I've got so many March dates in my head right now. It's March the 8th, and they have a rain date set of March the 15th, if it was to rain,
That'll be at the city park.
at the city park.
I make a motion to approve that. I'm open to anybody's suggestions. Anybody got this bigger one?
You making it do that part of your motion?
I'd like to, if the economy's not what it was last year, let's give them a little more money. 200?
I second that.
$200, motion by Chris Cole, second by Paul Simpson. Any further questions? Ma'am, would you call the roll?
John Kinsey,
Yes.
Johnny John,
Yes.
Paul Simpson.
Yes.
Edward Smith.
Yes.
Bruce Miller.
Yes.
Motion carries.
And, I put this on today on the agenda, I apologize, but it's a resolution commending Governor Bill Haslam, and Paul Simpson would, turn it over.
It's in the paper last week, I think, that, our Governor Bill Haslam has, stated that every graduating senior in the state of Tennessee will have their tuition paid at a community college if they want to go. And I understand what he's planning on doing is taking that money out of the lottery money that's built up, and that's what he's going to do. And I think that's a big step in the life of the citizens of Selma and the state of Tennessee, him doing that, and I want to be one of the first to pass a resolution commending him. So I make a motion, we do pass that resolution and send it to the governor.
Motion by Paul Simpson, second by Johnny Norris. Any further questions or comments on that? I will make a note that on Tuesday I was in Nashville, and this was actually spoken to in the governor's state of the state Monday night. And on Tuesday, while in Nashville, there was some concern that this would not help the kids in our area going to UTM, our college, which is a spinoff of Martin. But I've come to find out that I feel pretty comfortable that our school will be involved in this, because it's technically not a four-year school, but it being a spinoff, it's all about some language that's in there, so I feel pretty comfortable about it that our college students won't be driving right by this one going to Jackson, so feels good for them. Yes.
And so you think that Jackson State, like in Savannah and UT Martin and here in Selma, will be considered in one of those community colleges?
Yes, ma'am, I do. I feel pretty comfortable about that. I spoke with Barrett Rich, Dolores Gresham, and several others up there, Vance Dennis, Ron Ramsey. So it was on the top of my list while I was there. Also the one in Parsons, the UT Center there. So
It's a 2-year program, is that right, John?
Yeah, it's 2 years.
It's a 2-year program.
yeah, and it was I believe it's $300 million, out of a lottery fund to help with this. And I believe it starts in 2015.
I didn't know exactly what it.
If I believe that's right. We have a motion and a second. Can we call the roll?
John Benson.
Yes.
Johnny Norris.
Yes.
Paul Simpson. Edward Smith.
Yes.
Chris Hill.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Next is the board's approval to allow the splash pad to be put on the Dixie property. And Eric, you spoke to us last time. I believe some gentlemen are here.
Yeah, but, appreciate y'all considering this, for this past month, and we've got some members of the adult leadership class that came, and I wanted to involve as many of them as possible in our rising star for our class for last year. Larry Mashburn, put it out in an email, if anybody wanted to help and either present or help do a presentation or whatever, and Larry Mashburn graciously, volunteered to present, so I'm just gonna turn it over to him and let him give y'all a presentation.
Got some more, if anybody wants to look at it. I just wanted to throw together a quick presentation, just to kind of bullet point some of the key issues and concerns I know everybody's asked. The splash pad, it's got a Facebook page that has almost 1,000 likes right now, and that's pretty good for this area. There's been a lot of community discussion, a lot of questions, and we've tried to answer some things, but right now it's so, it's in such an infancy that we don't really know any of the specifics. But, I'm Larry Mashburn, and our leadership group came up with a idea, we voted on it, to bring a splash pad to Selmer. I've got some concept art in here from my splash pad. We have some project layout. Just has roughly the shape, supposed to be shaped somewhat like a guitar. That's on page 4. To kind of go along with the Rocky Lily theme. I've laid out a couple of the project features, and my splash pad, the company, can probably go over some of those things to bring you up to date or inform you on how this stuff works. It's pretty weather resistant, it's pretty safe for vandalism. Our 5 key points are the project planning, funding, execution, maintenance, and expansion. We just want to make sure we look at everything, all the different possibilities. Under project planning, we definitely want to get you guys on board. We want to get our citizens on board, make sure everybody likes the idea. We want to anticipate all the obstacles, and requirements, safety issues, and concerns. We want to make sure to work with the city, both in the planning commission and any kind of inspection and approval for the park itself. We've started working with the Parks and Rec department just to make sure that they're on board and they like the idea. They've talked about the Dixie Park being used for the area. Project funding. We've got a total price, and I'll make sure to get that to you guys.
It's $92,125.
It's very close to $100,000.
$92,125.
That's construction costs, it's a turnkey operation. Of course, the park itself, landscaping, things like that, we would have to come up with. We want to put our own sweat equity into it to make it look nice, and of course, the park's going to develop around it, but it'll be a nice attraction. It'll bring a lot of people, both out of our community and from our community. Operating costs are pretty minimal for what it is. We think the added revenue, the tax that comes in from the tourism and our own community will help the city in the long run. We've estimated some of the costs of the water usage. We've done a little bit of math on it. If we were to use it continuously for the 8 hours a day throughout the season, roughly 98 days, it would be $7,500 at the discounted rate of $2 per gallon. That Suds quoted us. We ran some other numbers, and it looks like the most possibly run is about $4,000 a year.
How much per gallon? $2 per 100 or?
$2 per 1,000.
Per 1,000.
Yeah, continuing usage, we would be close to 4 million gallons, but it's works off a Ballard system. We hit a button and it runs for 15, 20 minutes and shuts off. So the kids will hit it a few times, they'll play in the water, and then they'll go eat or play. I don't see them waiting for it to stop and hitting it again immediately for 8 hours a day. The maintenance cost is very low maintenance. There's no chemicals as consumed with the pool. I'll let them elaborate on the maintenance. Of course, they know more, but I'm sure there's a opening and maybe a seasonal and winterizing maintenance. Funding, we have started to try to come up with sponsorship ideas, donation ideas, and we were told that there might be $10,000 allocated towards this project from the Parks and Rec to grant money. Change, but I guess our biggest question is, what are your concerns? What are your ideas on a project like this?
So you can't hold anything unless you donation. You're gonna ask for donation and have fundraising, or what do you want to do?
We had talked about having just plain donations from residents, from businesses, possibly doing some kind of memorial plaques on the park benches around it. There was talk about making bricks. We haven't gone into a lot of detail on how we're going to raise money because we want to make this project
Kind of like it.
doable.
Larry, I think the concept, I think the whole idea of splash pads is really good. I do have some concerns, I made some notes about it, we discussed it in the meeting, after discussing it in the budget.
She said,
We checked on the insurance, it's relatively new to the insurance agencies about splash pads in communities. Some of my biggest concerns are number one, bathrooms and what we can build in that area. But I think we have to have bathrooms in association with this project, fence, if nothing else, chain link or whatever to surround it to close it down at a certain hour. Prevent vandalism. Water use, I figured like you did, 4,680,480 gallons.
is that at 80 gallons per minute?
That's at 80 gallons per minute, and I realize it can't run all that time, but I also see sometimes that the splash pad in heat of the summer might run longer than others. I wouldn't see any reason to shut it down at 6 o'clock, it's daylight till 9, and it's hot, and people are using it, so.
That's a nice thing. We know they can put time limits on it to where it automatically turns on at a certain hour, shuts off at another hour. I'm sure a lot of that can be customized. They could probably go into a little more detail about it.
But I think that some picnic tables are going to be on order, the benches. Parking, I think, is a big concern. When we've had the Hog Fest down there, we really received a lot of feedback from Domino's and Dollar General. We really, to be quite honest with you, the Fall Hog Fest was a great turnout. In fact, it was so good, I think it was beyond anticipation.
Was it positive?
It was positive for the Hog Festival, yeah, it certainly was.
From Domino's?
Domino's, no, it wasn't so positive from Domino's or Prime Care or Dollar General. And I think at some point that, you know, going forward with this, that we need to get those businesses involved and a barricade between the businesses, and if this project goes forth, to talk to them about, you know, staying out of their parking lot.
Okay.
Yeah, we really got into their business bad. And that has nothing to do with, we're not shooting this down.
But it's all
Don't get me wrong, yeah. We need to make sure we cover those bases, because we got good businesses there, and we don't want to offend them.
I know Bethel Park, it's got the same issue. You go out, you play, they've got no restrooms, and you go home. So I think any park, restrooms become a concern.
Right, you know, and the placement of this thing and the parking are big items. And I know that for Civil, we've got the second phase of it coming out. And even yesterday, we discussed parking on the back half and the bridges. Did you get a chance to talk to Jack Gim by chance?
I did, meeting with him in the morning at 10.
Really? Good. Fantastic. Parking in the back, that would eliminate a lot for this project, a bunch. But we got a figure of $92,000. And by the time we're looking at bathrooms, which I see as a must for this project, insurance, water usage, picnic tables, I think all of us would like to know what a real accurate figure would be for the project.
I know that, you know, we're gonna talk about phase 2 of the Dixie property later tonight and everything, and I spoke with Miss Maddie Cushman earlier today, and, I have spoken with Gerald Parrish, who is the Recreational Educational Services Director, who gives us the LPRF grants. And he told me that in the past, parking lots don't rate real high. So, when I was talking with Miss Maddie today, she told me, she said, what is something else that you could do? You know, what is something else, because we thought about doing the parking lot on the backside of, we talked about that yesterday in the work session, and I mentioned the pavilion with bathrooms, and she thought that would be a great thing to add to that, because that's gonna be a must if we put this. So when we talk a little later, maybe we can, and I've even went a little further with that, we can maybe in phase 2, get that bathroom and a pavilion to help with that.
Yeah,
How that all
my
is.
concern generally is just staying away from the existing businesses and not having people pull in there, and maybe a barrier, guardrail, or something attractive to let those businesses operate on their own premises.
I think that we discussed yesterday if we could blacktop or not, and it being in a waterway, and I believe that we got the answer to that we can. Is that correct, John?
Yeah, Jim talked with, the state planner today, and as long as
With
it's,
Chris Tate?
yes.
As long as it's level, we can,
As long as it's grade, is what he said. But of course, you know, he said you would need to actually develop a site plan.
Right.
And,
On phase 2.
and,
Okay.
carry planning commission, you know, and have where he can review it and the whole 9 yards.
and I also spoke, well, I'll tell you a little bit more about that when we start talking about the LPRS, but I've gone a little further with that too today, so.
Since you mentioned site plan, I think that the site plan on this is probably the most important aspect of putting the splash pad in and the parking lot, is to have an engineering firm do a site plan, so we know where this is going to go, what the grades are, and if we don't get ourselves in line later, because we've done everything to spec. I think it's a great idea. I appreciate, Derek, all your hard work on it. Larry,
We understand this
everything.
is a project.
I've got a bunch of questions I'd like to have answered. I don't know how the rest of the board feels, but,
What other questions do you have?
Well, to be honest, I want us to get an engineering firm and do a plan, because I wanna know what we can do out there. I don't wanna halfway do it. There's some ideas out there that we could put some stuff out there that probably really benefit the town. And I would like to have an engineering firm go through and us give them some ideas and let them give us some ideas of what we could put out there, because I hate to put this, and I like this, but I hate to put it somewhere and all of a sudden something else comes up. And man, we put it right there where we could put something else up.
Well, you can't build anything out there, can you?
No.
Well, no, you
can.
could,
In the site plan.
but you would have to have you'd have to have an engineering firm do a flood study. They would have to submit it to FEMA, and then it would hinge on whether or not FEMA would approve it. Now, that's the way I've always understood that.
You get into that, you get into red tape, and red tape runs into years.
I also spoke with Bruce Spalding today, and that was what I was going to discuss a little later, and he has very interested in coming down and helping with that, with a site plan, and, you know, helping me get something that we can do for the whole thing, you know.
I guess what I'm proposing is that we look at that site plan and that engineering firm and get the horse in front of the cart here, rather than the cart out in front of the horse at this point. I'm not saying don't go forward with it.
You still gotta raise the money in the fund. So, I mean, you can continue on with that, I mean, we're not shooting us down, I mean, I
Yeah,
think
we
it's a
just
good idea,
don't,
but.
we don't have any idea, all we've got 92,125 here.
And how long is that price good for? I mean,
Well, that's exactly what I was about to come to speak. Obviously, it was a negotiated price for this year. As we all know, things will go up. I mean, I would make that assumption that, I mean, cost of material and all that kind of stuff, I don't know what the price would be. Do you?
It could be anywhere from 5 to 9% possibly.
I mean, that's understandable with any, because most of this stuff is, some of this petroleum based and all kinds of stuff, but is there, even outside of that, is there any other options land-wise that y'all might know of that we are unaware of that might be able to be
If I may,
used?
has anybody considered Rockabilly Park?
Yeah, that's been discussed numerous times. Size-wise, it won't work size-wise. And it'll be too much of a distraction for the mural there as well. It's been discussed numerous times.
I've got a question too, Sybil, about as far as if we can get the rest of the grant approved, as far as how much time we got to find out about that.
Well, what I was told on that is that we could go ahead and use the money for the splash pad, but then if they come back and do not approve that we, could have used the money, then we have to, just be out of our pocket.
I guess so.
March the 28th is when we have to have this grant closed,
Okay.
or
If we don't
all the
use that-
paperwork sent in so that we can apply again on April the 11th.
So we've got to use it by March 28th before you can reapply again for the rest of it.
But we were only speaking of a portion of that grant, right, for the splash pad, and I just heard, I believe, 10,000 plus, or
It
somewhere in
could be
that.
somewhere around 10, between 8 and
10,000.
10. Mhm.
So the rest would be private funding and donations and city contributions, so we're,
How much money is left on that first grant?
We're at 82,000 right now, we had 117.
10%, basically. After you figure the guardrails and the picnic tables and the fence, and maybe less than 10%, to be honest with you. The plumbing, and that doesn't include maintenance and operating
Well,
costs.
now, the picnic tables, that was part of the project, whether it is splash pad or
The
not.
picnic tables and the benches are already bought in the
Right,
garbage
right,
cans.
so that
They're
don't have
already,
anything to do with
they're in
splash pad.
this grant now, they're already here, we're just waiting to put them out there.
Okay.
And this,
So basically we've got, and I'm just guessing without an engineering firm, basically we got bathrooms, fencing, maybe some kind of barricade, or a meeting with Domino's and Dollar General, something to keep their area safe, and maintenance and parking, right?
You had brought up fencing, are you talking fencing just around the splash pad itself?
I believe,
Fencing around the
Edward, isn't that when we discussed the other day in the meeting, we thought, well, I thought that the pad might need a 3-foot high chain link fence around it, something very nominal, after you close it down. Vandalism, driving a car into it, what, I don't know.
We had discussed that a lot, and the vandalism part, this stuff, it's painted about like a car, so it can be buffed off or cleaned off with like
I
vandalism.
think for the safety of the kids, we're gonna have to have a fence around.
Okay.
Otherwise, somebody drive a car right through there. And things like that happen. And my
Could
thing
we
with
possibly
fence
look
is
at maybe like
something
Ballard
about
or
that.
something, like, in the parking area?
Well,
Ballard's
possible.
Because that's gonna stop the car.
You know, it seems most of these things we're talking about are minor things you could work out. That's my thing. Several people have contacted me, I don't know about the rest of them, about this. Word kind of spread that, well, as one man said, don't do nothing, hurt our kids now. We need something to help our kids out. And I think that's what we need to look at. Is this a good thing for the kids? Some people told me they've looked at them, and I think John, they've seen on Florida,
instead of just cover it up with kids, and somebody else told me, call him, but I meant to go by the other day, coming through, and I said, well, really not where we're looking at.
Maybe we could just plan a day trip one day and, you know, the board go and look at the one at Collymore. I mean, you know, that one over there is a very nice one. I showed you pictures of it last night. Theirs was so busy and stayed so busy that they ended up having to start charging out of, city residents, non-city residents, to come and use it. So, I mean, you know, that would be a good thing if we ever got there.
Let me ask you a question, just a minute. It was mentioned about this hindering something else we're not doing the park. Can you foresee anything, said, well, where we were talking about located, kind of behind Domino, can you foresee anything in the future that's gonna interfere with, that we wanna do in the park?
What I could see if we're gonna do anything, if we do not do this, is a parking lot. And, I mean, that's just where you're gonna put more parking. But, I mean, if this, and we can get the parking on the backside, that's even gonna work out better, because then if you have any festivals or anything, and we have this, you know, passage to come to the front, it's gonna be kind of a focal point for your festival, or, you know, whatever. And you'll have your parking on the backside, you know, so I mean, that's the only thing I could foresee.
I think we definitely need that back.
Can that grant money, can it be used for engineering fees?
It can be used for anything, we just have to turn around and change it.
I think that,
Make an amendment.
I think somebody that was very familiar with this, I think, looking into, a firm that was versed in floodway and floodplain would be a wise, way to spend some money before we spent
The only problem is that
$100,000.
we don't have the time frame with the first grant to do all that. That takes months and months to get that done.
Yeah, it'll take at least 3 months to get an amendment. So that's our problem right now. When the grants were announced this time, the governor wanted a quick turnaround. So, and we're usually working on a time frame of grants being due in June. This time it's due April 11th. So we have to have the project completed and all the paperwork in by March the 28th. So we're working on.
We've got to spend $35,000 for March 28th to complete that phase.
And some of it's going to be, because we still have not got the bridge. So we're still, that's why, you know.
But that $35,000 has to be spent on something that we've already asked for, not something we change our mind.
Right. No.
I'm sorry,
I'm with the leadership class too, and I just wanted to say that Savannah has one, they've just put it in. You might go over there and check with them and see what all they think.
it looks good.
I thought it looked really good.
Someone had told us, if I understood it right, that this one is even better than the one in Savannah. Did I understand that right?
I haven't seen the one in Savannah yet.
I haven't seen it up close,
We
but I
kinda
just
use
knew
it
it was
as
similar.
a park attraction, kinda like a swing set, because it's zero depth, there's no drowning issues, it's about as safe as a sidewalk. The stuff itself is pretty difficult to vandalize, so, that's how we viewed it. An engineering firm may view it differently, but, the water, it's water to waste, there's no chemicals. There's been talk that TDEC is approved or has no issues with it, so the water contamination, anything like that, shouldn't be an issue. But of course, we'll take any questions, concerns, and get answers for them. I've got Chris's questions and concerns. Does anybody else have anything else?
Is the engineering the biggest of all of it? Because, I mean, the parking was already issued before this project, so that was going to have to be addressed anyway. Bathrooms, since it's a park, I mean, I would assume that would have to be addressed regardless of this project as well. So as far as this project is concerned, is what I'm getting at. The biggest concern is just the engineering aspect is.
I think they would be more apt, in my opinion, that that's the first step in this, is perhaps a park layout plan by an engineering firm that knows the ins and outs of floodway, flood zone, and let them make the recommendations so that we don't make $100,000 mistake
putting this thing in the wrong place initially because we needed to spend some money right away. My thoughts.
I wouldn't disagree with you. I mean, I think it's good, it's good reason. I just wanna make sure that if, I guess, for the project to move forward even past the engineering thing, I wanna make sure that we can just get everything. I just wanna be able to cover all the bases. That's my whole goal.
I think it's a great,
Right.
it's a great
Right.
concept, it is.
Let me give you a little food for thought. First of all, I think it's a fabulous idea, and these young folks involved need to be encouraged. Now, if you remember, when we acquired this property, I don't remember exactly how long we acquired it. 3 years, 4 years? Can't recall. I was intimately involved in the acquisition. And when that was done, at about the same time, I thought we got a heck of a buy on this property with contributions from the family, and it was it 30,000?
I think that's right.
And I forgot how many acres out here, is it 9?
11, I think.
Well, there's
But-
about 10, and then we were donated another acre.
Well, that's right. And at the time, of course, we just had raw land, and a lot of ideas. If you remember, I suggested to the board that there are architectural firms, and maybe we use engineering and architectural interchangeably. There are architectural firms that have specialties in the design of parks. And I passed along to the board then the name of a couple of those firms. I believe both were in Memphis. And if you might recall, those of you on the board then, one of the firms was familiar with Selma. They had done some design work here. And I talked to the fellow in charge, and he was extraordinarily nice. They were willing to bend over backwards to help small towns. I think I'm right, if this was the company that used and provided some jobs or internships for architectural students at Mississippi State, and they were active in the park design part. And I just a little food for thought. Those companies are out there. You got a heck of a buy on this piece of property. If this splash pad goes in, whether it's grant money or real money, it's $150 grand. You guys know that. You're gonna spend $95 grand for this thing, and you're gonna put $150 grand in bathrooms, lights, fencing, keep parking. It's gonna be that. And I just give some food for thought, and these young men can think about it, and I'll get the name. But they're experts out there. That's what they do. They design parks, help us avoid mistakes. And I don't think I ever got a price from these folks, but I got a hunch. You could talk to a couple of these companies, negotiate pretty good. I think you can get a price you can stand, particularly when you're talking about you only got 30 grand and 10, 11 acres. And you got a project right here in front of you that everybody seems to be excited about, and you're gonna spend $150 grand on it. See what, I just believe an architectural overall plan, the cost of that, I suspect, is gonna be relatively small compared to the expenditure you're gonna make for one project. I think it'd be invaluable to you. They're out there, they're professionals, they're ready to go.
I also spoke with Mr. Kyle Dunn, who's with Freeland Roberts and something other, he's an architect also today. And he's willing to come down, and most of your architects and engineers will come and do this if they know that you're applying for a grant and they don't ask for anything up front. They'll help you get that, and then their fee is included in like the next grant. So, I mean, that,
Maybe.
what Mr. Abernathy is saying there, we could include the splash pad in phase 2 and go from there, you know, and get the architect and the engineer, you know, all on board and get all of the plan and everything drawn up, and it all be included in that phase 2.
Terry, I believe you're exactly right. I didn't know the difference
Talk
between
some
engineering
architects and design
architecture.
parks in Dutchess. Get that day trip, go look at it. I'll get the name of the folks I talked to that I brought to the board 3 or 4 years ago.
Oh, it's starting and
I think Askew Hardware and Hardcore's even done some work on this down here. I think that's the first step.
they're out there, and
I'd like to go forward with it. I'd make a motion that we, table this until we decide how to, address this properly.
Is this something we need to work with, planning commission or anybody like
I'm
that? or is
not,
this-
Larry, I'm really not sure, but I think,
You think it's those days that we're supposed to?
I think first step is exactly what our city attorney suggested, is, to get a architectural or an engineering firm involved that has knowledge about floodplain and flood zone, that designs parks and tell us what we can and can't do, definitely. And exactly like what John Fennelson said, before we make a mistake.
Can you guys add anything to this? With the engineering or architectural standpoint?
The engineering firm, we have an engineering firm we work with, that we would, be glad to help and assist in any way. But it seems like we need to get everybody on board first and say, let's go with this plan. So now we can take the steps to go with the plan. It seems like we're kind of going back and forth, but, floodplain down there, from what this is what I do for a living, and I don't see any problems with it. I think an engineer would sign off on it. I could get an engineer down here, but I wouldn't invest my time and effort until we had a motion to go forward, so that I could say, hey, this is a viable cause for us to come down here, so I would do that. So but I'm not willing to do that if we're kind of back and forth on it.
Kim?
When I talked to Chris Pate, the planner, today, he said that in that floodway, he said you could do pretty much anything as long as it's grade, as long as it stays at the same grade as the ground that's out there. Now, he did say that if any federal or state money was involved, that you would need to have a site plan drawn up and run it through the planning commission and the whole 9 yards there, to keep everything on level.
Terry, would it be smart for us to make a motion and approve to move forward with the splash pad with the contingencies that have been mentioned here tonight?
I think it'd be an excellent idea, and whether that's gonna hold a price. Yeah, that's this gentleman's very self. There's always ways to negotiate those deals. I don't believe it's gonna go away on that.
John, I'd like to commend the leaders from fire for coming up with this. This is what we're gonna have to do if we want Selma to grow. And I'm not saying, I was the one that several years ago that said we were the town of Selma instead of the city. We want to stay a town. We want to stay the community, but we want everybody to get involved to help our people here now. And this is a great idea. And I think everybody here is on the board is in favor of it. Now, we have some tentative things, but if we could make a motion that we are in favor of that, but and we appreciate y'all doing it, and we're gonna have to come up with some plans for the park, before we actually do it. So,
I'm in favor, but I think that the engineering or architectural firm ought to be independent of the contractor. I think that the city ought to hire their own firm. I don't think the contractor needs to do that. And we can.
Because ultimately, it's in the best interest of Selmer. Understand?
I make a motion, we'll go on record.
What I'm getting out of this is no one's against the splash pad. I just want to make sure that we have someone putting in plans, overall picture of what we want in the park in the next 20 years, say, 10 years.
I believe that's it. We're not,
And make sure that we
everybody's
put the
part, we want
splash pad.
architectural plan showing
Yeah.
what all can be out there, with this being one of the things that's gonna be there.
And just make sure we get it where it's gonna fit in the plan for
We get it
years
right.
to come. Okay.
We get it right.
Could we move forward with a motion with our intent is to do this pending an engineering firm looking at it, location, whatever, or something on that order?
I think so. I think Terry agrees.
Yeah, I think we do that, but good idea.
I think what they're basically saying, they gotta know our intent is to do this before they can raise any money.
Yes.
We
don't wanna ask for anybody to donate or.
I'd hate to raise $100,000 and then it's blocked. Well, I don't know, if I did, I got a fifth child on the way, maybe I need a new house.
We also understand that we don't wanna raise $100,000, spend it, and it never be able to be used because it's got some sort of kickback.
And with the Domino's, I was planning on talking with Domino's, because I knew about the parking issues, but it's still, I wanted to see where we were before we really made a push toward all of that, because I didn't want to create a big uproar and then nothing happened.
I think it's a good idea that the engineering firm look at it. You know, we've basically been mentioned before, and Terry, I remember when Terry brought this up before, never did really do anything.
And I'm not opposed to that either. I'm not opposed to that. I don't think that's a bad idea at all.
So we need a motion to move forward with the splash pad with the intent to allow the adult leadership class to have it on city property with the contingencies of an architectural.
I'd make a
Site
motion,
plan.
I'd make a motion that we would, consult with a, engineering or architectural firm to move forward with the project, but this is the first step. And I'm all for the project, but this is the first stage of the project, and we really need to get that seal on there and a plan, before we spend the money.
A lot of money. Actually, it's gonna take a while before anything can be done on it anyway, right?
Well, and the owner of the company's a little bitty guy. I can strong arm him. So.
He already has, I mean, he's done his homework and, he's made me sharpen my pencil a few times more than I'd like to, so.
Well, we have a motion, Chris, correct? Ann, did you get that, okay?
All four of them.
One good one out of
We got a good one. We have a second for the motion. Second by John Pendleton. Any further discussion? Any call roll?
Can you tell us what the motion is and exactly what it is?
Yeah, I'm confused myself.
I think I understand the motion. The motion is to approve of this project subject to the engineer and architect.
Read what you have.
Motion by Chris Toll to consult the architectural or engineering firm to move forward with the project.
I actually would like to amend that just slightly, that we hire a firm, okay? That we contract with a firm, all right? I don't want it to be left, let's go ahead and get the red tape out of the way.
Right.
We contract with a firm.
Okay.
We need a second on the amended motion.
I just put it in there
Okay.
because I've written things.
Okay. We have a motion and a second.
Call, Bruce, or we gonna have Terry
John.
find a contract for it?
I'll get that to the mayor.
Okay.
And before the vote, I want you guys to know that the leadership team is here to help you with any of that at any time.
Last page has all our contact information.
Good.
Eric, me, everybody else that's been involved.
Yeah, we just want y'all to know that we're here to help you, okay?
Thank you. Any call roll?
John Benson.
Yes.
Johnny Norris.
Yes.
Paul Simpson.
Yeah.
Edward Smith.
Yeah.
Chris Toll.
Yeah.
Motion carries.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Y'all gonna work that one.
Okay, let's go strong on it.
Y'all go there, y'all gonna go there with the project.
We're gonna keep talking And I guess we'll probably start looking at doing some money and trying to get something. I'm fixing to go have a conversation with him and see what we can do there.
I think it's a great idea for Carol. It's all the time we're gonna do it like those gifts. We're doing that on a gift place down at 12.
Right.
And I would like to donate $1,000 to that property.
Well, I'll accept that donation. And I'm glad that's on record.
Real quickly, Sybil's gonna come and, talk about phase 2 of Dixie Park, and we do need to note in the minutes, that Sybil's doing that, this part of the grant that we have.
And I'm gonna pass around while I'm talking, a sign-in sheet, because I have to get this done. If y'all just, each one of you just sign there, there's 2 of them, I don't think it'll take both of them, but, what we've been discussing tonight is probably part of phase 2 of the Dixie Park. I spoke with Miss Manny this afternoon, and her first thing was, we've got to get us an engineer. And I said, yes, ma'am. And she said, we've got to do 3 meetings. I said, I got one tonight. She said, you're ahead of me. I said, yes, ma'am. And so that's why the grant this year is going to be a little bit tougher than what we've done in the past, because there are so many people applying for grants and everything. So our meeting tonight, what I'd like to talk with you about is just some ideas that you might have of what you would like to see in this park. And one of the things we've already seen is a splash pad with possibly a pavilion with bathrooms and parking. Does anybody have any other ideas or anything that, you know, or see any concerns if we've done this there? We've already, we're going to talk to Domino's, the Dollar General that was brought up yesterday, that we would get with them and discuss things being put there and how they felt about it, and get them on board before we went any further with that. What are y'all's thoughts about us including the splash pad in this next grant?
I think that the engineering firm or the architectural firm or whatever it's gonna be is gonna be able to really give you a ton of ideas, give us a ton of ideas on what to do with this property. That we can do without interfering with the floodway or the flood zone or anything.
Okay, so I guess what I need to ask then, do I have your blessings to go and find an engineer and just, since we're working, because I mean, I won't have time to come back before this board to, you know, present another engineer, so how do you want me to go about doing that?
I don't know, Joe, you in with you?
Well, that's what Terry was, get us a name for architecture firm.
Okay,
I'm not sure that you can, I don't know what far, I don't know how you're gonna get around coming back to the board to approve, the price of it, unless it's in a grant, and I think maybe I'm behind the curve, but you're just gonna pay the cost of that out of your operations.
The money for that would come out of phase 2 for the amount that she's asking for, and Maddie, who's worked with Richard numerous times, she's great, she can give that information.
We still would know, need no charge at firm for that.
Okay, if you file for an LTRF grant, your engineer architectural fees can only be 15% of your grant. So,
Anthony, didn't A2H, the one that's done all the work at the airport, did they talk to you about something down there?
Well, actually, what we had them look at, we tried to get some mitigation money.
Right.
We never got that, and this second round of the $1 million, there's $225,000 to fix the roof. And we're using Bruce Spalding which works with Maddie, we were using him to help administer. He's done engineering fees, he's done surveys, working with the gardeners, he's doing it all. We've already got him here working on that. He's worked on the generators and.
Also, Bruce has done a lot of work out there on the Dixie property already.
yes.
I don't know if you've got to put an engineering firm out to bid, I don't know if you can contact one, I don't know.
Since we've already got him hired, I don't think we would. you know, he's already doing.
And that's who Ms.
engineer work
Maddie
for
had suggested that I talk to, and I emailed him, this afternoon, and he told me that just let him know when I wanted him down here, and he'd be here. And he's, as far as the environmental, we've already cleared all the environmental because we know that there's a wet, they call a blue line stream there. We know what we can do with the creek bank, or the ditch bank now. All the environmental is already done, except the part of the waterway, and I think that we got that pretty much today, and I'm gonna come next Tuesday and talk with Mr. Pate about, what, you know, exactly we're thinking about doing, and make sure that everything's okay with him. And,
All right.
We have to have a call meeting, we have a call meeting to approve anything, if we have to.
We can.
so just go ahead and get with Mr. Spalding and get that started. All right.
If I could, so, you mentioned if anybody had any concerns, I've heard the words chain link fence used tonight. In Nashville, they have a splash pad downtown that looks really great, and how they alleviated the possibility of vehicles is they have the concrete pillars that are sort of like what you have in front of the doors at Walmart, that are properly spaced, that have the posts around. And it can be done in a way that it still looks really good, but it serves a purpose. I think that would look a lot better, something along those lines.
I think the concern of the board, though, is with the fence, is that you could lock it and secure it at night.
Okay.
You know, so that after dark and everything, that no one can get in there.
But still, even
to
if you
prevent
put
the-
iron railings between those instead of chain link,
Yeah,
the
I mean-
aesthetic would look.
I agree with you.
Okay. That was my only concern.
We can always, there's all kinds of decorative fences and stuff that you can use, so.
Yeah, we ain't got
Oh,
a.
chain link fence, we gonna hold the car.
Yeah, there's no razor wire, please.
The barbed wire.
Thank you, Sylvia. Well, that concludes the regular meeting. Does anybody have any questions or comments? Well, we're gonna close that meeting and immediately open the, employee hearing. We have DJ Norton here and Terry Abernathy. I'm gonna turn it over to
I didn't know you were council. I didn't know you were council.
Mayor Moore, we're here on the appeal to the board by Mr. Lamar Atkins appealing from his termination of employment, and which he has a right to do based upon present rules and regulations. And just for background, prior to his termination on the 28th day of October of last year, Mr. Atkins was an employee of the town of Selmer in the street and sanitation department. On that day, he was terminated by his supervisor, who was standing next to him, Mr. E. Seabury. Position of Seabury and ample reasons existed for his termination. I think the way that he managed this past is Mr. Seabury was explained the circumstances that led to this employee's termination. Seabury, what's your position in town, sir? Superintendent. And how long have you been the superintendent of the street sanitation department? 18 years. You know Mr. Lamar Atkins? Know him well. Know his family well, though? You were instrumental in hiring this young man, providing him a job. Yes, sir. Knew his family background. And prior to the week of this termination, Mr. Atkins, Mr. Seabury, had any significant complaints about the quality of Mr. Atkins' work. He takes your attention back to the morning of October 25th, 2013, and we handed you a piece of paper and asked you, did you make and sign that memo, Mr. Seaver?
Yes, I did.
Would you read that memo, please?
On October 25th, 2013, I, Mr. Seaver, saw employees of all acting driving at a high rate of speed between 75 and 85 miles an hour in a 45 mile an hour speed zone. I did call the employee, told him to park the truck, and I would talk to him as soon as I get back. When I got back, I gave him a paper warning about his high speed driving.
And where did you make that observation, Mr. Seaver?
Up there at my office.
I mean, where did you see him driving? Excuse me.
I had called from Mayor Robinson about a washout. As I entered the highway coming back toward town, I run across this truck driving at high rate of speed. Well, he driving so fast, couldn't tell who was driving. So I met him. Me and another employee met him when he passed us. Of course, he was coming back from, he was just passing Moose Lodge Road, coming back to the office when I passed him.
Okay, you spoke to you determined that that was Mr. Jamar Atkins?
Not at this time, he was going so fast, couldn't tell.
Did you later determine who it was?
Yes, I called the radio and asked him to drive that truck, and he responded and told me who he was.
And then you told the employee to park the truck?
Yes.
And about looking at that, about what time of day did that occur, Mr. Seaver?
It was around 11:50 a.m. around that time.
Okay. Did another incident occur later in the same day involving this same employee?
Yes, sir.
Tell the board what happened.
About 3 o'clock, or maybe 15 to 3, I got a call from 911. I think the fire chief might have called me, told me I had a truck involved in an accident around out of Extension. So I went around there and saw if it was one of my trucks involved in an accident. I got there, the first responder was there, chief first, myself was there. Mr. Atkins had a very afraid. Of course, I seen him loading up on a board, checking, took him to the hospital. At the time I was there, this lady, she walked down there from the lower cell, told us she'd seen the whole thing. Of course, I asked Chief Burke, one of his officers, to take a report, which he did. So that.
Were you able to determine whether or not the truck Mr. Atkins was driving at the time of his accident? Was that the same truck he'd been driving earlier in the day?
No, sir, I took that truck, I didn't sign him, I put him with another employee. We had a driveway fixed just down the hall. The concrete driveway, we had a guy into our street. So I sent Mr. Atkins to another guy, which was another employee, but I didn't see Mr. Atkins drive the truck. As they were fixing that man's driveway to tie in our street, Mr. Atkins says, his eyes were burning something, he had to run home, and he grabbed the truck and took off.
Was that contrary to the instruction you'd given him earlier that day?
Told you that it was 2 o'clock.
About driving? Was a electronic crash traffic report made in this instance as part of the public records?
Yes.
You know which officer prepared this report?
Officer Brian
Pilkington. Read the narrative portion of that traffic accident report. Let me read it. See.
I want to see what happened here.
In the narrative portion of this, Mr. Atkins stated that he was northbound on Adams Extended, and as he was going into a curve, a white-colored Chevrolet Suburban came around the curve into his lane, forcing him to leave the roadway in an attempt to avoid hitting or being hit by the Suburban. Once he left the roadway, the vehicle he was driving struck at least 2 standing trees, resulting in heavy damage to the city vehicle. Note that a witness to the accident, Deborah Thacker, given the address in Bolivar, Tennessee, stated that she had seen the white pickup truck leave the roadway and strike the trees, but did not see any other vehicle on the road at the time of the crash. Mr. Seabury, was another statement later taken from Mr. Atkins by a member of your department.
Yes, Steve Wood.
Clerk. The clerk and office manager of the town of Selma Street Sanitation Department.
Yes.
And it's the statement he took before he made, the memo he made, part of the public records in this matter.
Yes, sir.
And was that taken 3 days later? That is on October the 28th?
Yes, sir, it was.
Just following, see if I read it correctly. Statement was taken over the phone from Jamar Atkins by Steve Whitaker, clerk, street and sanitation. Mr. Atkins stated that he left Perkins Street, that he was going to some sunglasses. His eyes were burning. He went around a curve. That is all he remembered. He blacked out, and when he woke up, he was on a backboard and had on a neck brace. Did you have available all the information that we've gone over at the time that you made the decision to terminate Mr. Atkins?
Yes, sir, I did.
Was there any conversation directly with Mr. Atkins by you at the time of termination?
No, sir, his mother called and said he was gonna be in, and I told her there wasn't no need. He was suspended while I was doing my investigation. After concluding my investigation, the same day, 3 or 4 hours later, I called Mayor Robinson and asked his approval to terminate Mr. Atkins' period for his life in our seat. And he agreed with it. So I terminated him, got his paper, put it in the envelope. Went by Mr. Atkins' house, I didn't even go by the door, so I left. Coming back, Mr. Mayor Robinson called me and told me out there at the Catholic Church, we had a bad boy out there. It needed our attention. So I was trying to fix that, so I handed the envelope to a co-worker, which might have been wrong, told him, see, can he catch you all again in his papers.
Eventually the paper got to it, and you made the decision to terminate this employee.
Yes.
Young man you know his family. You didn't do this hastily, did you?
Yes, sir.
Didn't do it under anger.
No, sir.
Hated you had to do it.
I feel bad.
Mr. Seabury, you feel with the responsibility of the safety of all citizens of the town or anybody that might be using the public streets?
I feel his life and the safety of the citizens of any other employee.
The fact that you've got two different versions of what happened, did that influence your decision in this matter?
Yes, sir, it did.
And did you provide a termination report to Mr. Atkins, and is that also a part of the public file in this matter?
Yes, sir, it did.
And he was terminated on October the 28th of 2013. Has he been paid for every hour he worked?
Paid him everything.
Reason for termination, make sure I read this correctly: careless, negligent, improper use of city property or equipment, reckless driving, crashed a city vehicle, done heavy damage to truck number 75, I believe. 2.5 hours before the accident, he was given a verbal warning by Superintendent Mr. Seabury. He was driving at high rate of speed, 75 to 85 miles per hour in a 45-mile zone. Witness stated that she had seen the white pickup leave the roadway and struck the tree. She did not see any other vehicles on the road at the time of the crash. Did I read that accurately? Yes. That's all.
You'll find I'm pretty thrifty.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. I represent Mr. Atkins here tonight. He wished to exercise his appeal right to the board. When he first came to me, he was not informed of that appeal right. I did inform him of that. That's why he's here tonight. He'd like to share with you his side of the story, so I'm gonna open the floor up to him, let him tell you what happened, and exercise his right to his appeal.
My name is Mark. I'm kind of nervous right now because I never did this before. But I've been with the city about 3 years now. I was through a summer program and DDC high work, so he gave me a give me a chance to give me a job, right? So, that day, it was on a Friday, I think we got paid that day. And, it was a day been out for weird all day anyway, because me and my wife had been fussing Friday, Thursday night. I usually don't drive fast. I mean, which you can ask all my coworkers, I do not drive fast at all. He's driving Jimbo Rock. He taught me how to drive actually, but I really don't drive. Me and my wife, we was kind of fussing all that day. And Friday that day, my boss man did catch me speeding through there. And he told me to go to the shop and park the truck, and I'd be there in a minute. So I went back to the shop, and I waited on Dee to get there, which, you know, it took about 10-15 minutes. I was in the office. So Dee called me outside, and he said, Jamal, what's wrong with you? Man, you don't drive like that. What? I mean, I didn't know who that was in the truck. He just got on my mind right now. He said, man, so we talked about 30 minutes, you know, because he liked to talk. So we talked about 30 minutes. He said, you know, Jim, you might slow down, but he gave me the keys back. He gave me the keys back. So I was with James that day. And I was driving that car, that truck that day. Which they seen me driving that truck that day. So the keys were back in my hand. And we was over there patching on Adams over there. And I told Jonathan and James, my eye was burning real bad that day. And my buddy lived around the corner. And I was going to get some sunglasses. Which my wife called prior to that, and we was discussing on the phone. I was stirred up, you know, I told Johnson, we're going to get sunglasses. My wife won't bring me none. And just around that time, you know, which I was kind of panicking a little bit, which I do have, actually have panic attacks. And about around that time, you know, I was breathing pretty hard, and it's less than I remember. And I blacked out. And after that, it was on a Friday, so I woke up at the hospital. So Saturday and Sunday came, and that Monday, I got a mom to call in from me because I was still sore from it. And she told Dee, you know, that I'm sore, that I won't make it in. And Dee said, it don't matter anyway, because he's suspended. Pretty much he's probably fired. And later on that day, maybe the next day, there was a paper sent by one of my friends in Johnson, Earth. And he sent my South Florida. That's how it went. But no, had no problem working, no write-ups or nothing.
So you were not terminated when you were speeding, you got a verbal warning for that, right?
And the keys back.
And he said, go park the truck, you did that, and then he gave you the keys back.
Yeah, the keys were back. They seen me driving when I left the shop.
So he didn't tell you, don't drive the truck again?
No.
He gave you the keys that led you.
He said, slow down, Jamal, because you do not drive fast.
Well, what led to the accident? Were you speeding?
I don't remember. When I left Jonathan and Patrick, I said, I'm going with sunglasses. And, I was breathing pretty hard because I was like, calm down, man, you know, they're going to be all right. So I got in the truck, I ran around the curve, and I blacked out. That was it. But, I don't understand in 3 years with the city. I did nothing wrong. I worked my butt off. We a hard-working department, kind of behind the scenes kind of department, but, you know, we get the job done, and we work hard for everything we get. But, like everywhere I go, like the Walmart, I see people that I used to work for, some of the cities I work for, and they come up to me and they're, Jamal, I heard you was on pills when you had a wreck. I heard you were going to rehab.
Let me ask you this, did you, was a drug test performed?
Definitely, first time.
It was negative,
everything. But, I didn't get a chance to explain nothing. I was just fired.
And you were told that by somebody else, right?
Number of people.
No.
Mr. Atkins, I understand you did. I don't hear too well sometimes, but I understand you to say that you remember going out in the car and you blacked out, and the next thing is on the forward.
Right.
What about the statement you gave them about the SUV?
Well, I did see a white Suburban.
Wow.
There was a white Suburban I seen. There was a white Suburban.
I thought you didn't remember anything.
Was that before you went around the curve?
It was way before I went around the curve.
It what?
It was way before I went around the
Way,
curve.
oh, so it was way before you went on a curve.
Yes, sir.
Because Suburban, you're saying now that Suburban had nothing to do with your wreck?
I don't, like I said, I don't remember. I remember certain parts, but I did. I mean, all the thing I remember is seeing a white Suburban. Then I remember, like, almost getting around that curve, and then I blacked out. I don't remember wrecking up.
So you have panic attacks, you have
I mean,
panic attacks, you wreck?
Yes, sir, I did. Yes,
You
sir.
do?
That's just my grandma passed, Mary Buckley passed. I've been having her ever since.
And you are gonna be wild.
Yes, sir. But
Do you think you should have been driving?
I mean, I don't drive fast, what I'm saying. I do not
I'm
drive
not
fast at
talking about
all.
driving fast, I'm talking having panic attacks and whatever
It's only flare up when you
and
get
arguing,
excited.
huh?
You only flare up when you get excited. When you get excited.
I'm saying you gotta stop, do you think you should have been driving with, under that condition?
I mean, I'm not the boss.
Sir?
I'm not the boss. I mean, yeah, I I showed people no sign that, that I was, you know.
I don't mean to interrupt. Terry, did y'all have, was there any more that you wanted to,
Be glad that's explain that to you.
I guess, Terry, the question, if there's any questions that should come maybe from you?
I don't really have any questions, Mr. Atkins, the stories are,
I think.
you know, one is daylight and one is dark. You just have to find out you're going.
Yeah, and understand me in the middle of, that happened under previous mayor, I'm in the mayor position now, but I think the board has allowed the employee to exercise his right, and without board action, the determination will have to stand as is.
Thank you. Any questions? Thank you, gentlemen.
Well, that concludes tonight's business. We'd like to thank everyone for coming. Maybe it'll snow. Motion to adjourn. All right. Thank y'all.
What did they?